We ready?
So that's my story.
Okay. So,
Yes, to answer your question, yes, I do.
bring to order the meeting for the Town of Pierson Charter Review Committee for Tuesday, November 4th, 2025 at 5:30. Ryan, would you do the roll call?
Yep. Chairman Paul George.
Here.
Vice Chairman Rick Davis.
Here.
Committee member Sue Elliott.
Here.
Jeremy Stedman is absent. Committee member Deanna Bennett.
Here.
Town attorney Scott Simpson.
Here.
And I am present and Yvonne is absent.
Okay. Rick, could I lean on you to do the invocation?
I know other people that would do a better job. I'll do it. Heavenly Father, thank you again for the opportunity for us to serve our town by working on this charter. I ask you to just guide us and direct us in our efforts and bless our efforts, if you will. In the name of your Son, our Father, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes?
Yes.
Is there
Most of them.
Yep.
Any additions or deletions or changes or?
My memory weren't that good to know everything. But it seems like a good review to me.
They seem to be right.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes by Deanna Bennett and second by Ms. Elliott. All approve? Say aye. Aye. Unanimous.
Yep.
Okay, new business. I guess we're going to discussion regarding additional edits and changes.
Well, like we discussed last time, I told you what I would do is I would put together a list of forfeiture provisions for office from the various cities in Volusia County. So there's a list there for you.
Did you have one that you felt? I mean, they're very repetitive. A lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of
are
them.
very repetitive. But was there one that you thought kind of stated what we were looking for better than the others?
No,
I think one was kind of real strict on them, wasn't even if you got a misdemeanor charge or
Well,
accident against you.
Well, depending on which town you looked at. Now, I'll be honest, the only change that I would look at this point would just be taking from the Holly Hill statement, number 4, and just add it to our letter C. Currently, our letter C for forfeiture of office says, is convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude or, and then I would say is found to have violated any standard of conduct or code of ethics established by law for public officials, blah, 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 which was the number 4 from the Holly Hill. A lot of these were very detailed and
Max said, keep
that
it.
almost scares me going that far.
We debated it something to pass the time in the hospital, and between Orman and Deland, keep it simple.
Yeah.
Keep it as
I
simple
like
as
you.
you
I don't
can.
think a misdemeanor type, like a traffic misdemeanor. I don't think we need to throw that in there. Felony, convicted of a felony,
That's
but
a different
I guess
story.
that would fall under.
well, if you're
Would
gonna,
it fall under
the
the?
governor removed you from office. Elected official.
So that would be taken care
If you're
of.
charged with a felony, the governor will suspend you. You're removed.
So it's basically covered already. What about? Because a lot of these did have about missing, just not showing up for me. It's not
Right.
saying we do have that problem every time, but do we? That's the only thing that's, I'm sure, not covered. I wouldn't think under law. don't like if you have somebody who's just kind of like, I'm done with it, I'm
That's
over
probably,
it, you know?
if you remember last time we were talking about, there's the recall provision, and there's that whole law that says recall is exclusive and supersedes anything in the charter. But recall doesn't get into, attendance issues, lack of qualifications, things like that. So, adding in the ethics issue would be a good one
I
to
think
include.
the
in-
lack of qualifications, and because that wouldn't necessarily be under number 4 here, because if we're saying like they no longer live in the city,
Mhm.
that would be lacking the qualifications, right? So we might
Right.
need to
The
have
land
that
has-
part in there.
So that's
The
what
land
we,
is probably the shortest.
so Scott had done, we had done a draft from the last meeting that has 4 A, B, C, and D for
Right.
forfeiture of office. So the first one is fails to meet and maintain all qualifications to hold office of the
Which
town.
covers that.
On page 3 on this,
Page 3.
if you look about
Right.
like
Yeah.
2/3 down the page where it says forfeiture of office there in bold. So originally we had put fails to meet the residency requirements, but then I think we agreed to strike it and just says fails to meet all qualifications for
Yeah.
office.
Because
That would
that
include
covers, yeah,
residency
yeah.
and being a registered voter.
Right.
And then if you look at D, we also did the fails to attend 3 consecutive
Okay.
meetings without being excused.
Okay.
So those 2 things are covered in there. It's a matter of, do we want to expand on those or add anything else? I see what Rick's saying about combining some of Holly Hill's number 4 to letter C there.
Yeah, I mean, we can add it without it getting too complicated, in my opinion. The lands is simpler than all.
Simple as all of them.
Now, do we need to include, just asking the attorney here, do we need to include about the code of conduct, or is that something that the governor's gonna take care of anyway?
It's not felony.
Okay. So we wouldn't want to put that. Add that in there. And then you're saying, so a number C is convicted of crime involving moral turpitude, or add that in there?
Yeah, that's where I would put it if I were rewriting it. But again, there's, a number of us here that have to make that decision. But that was.
Well, like I said, a lot of them were just kind of, some were very brief and some were very repetitive, same things, very specific.
Lake Helen.
Some were way too
Yeah, Lake Helen.
specific.
I don't even want to go to Lake Helen. Sorry.
But
Yeah.
it's just, I don't want to make it so complicated that the voters wind up.
Yeah, because it's what we put out there on that. For
The only thing thinking in here, you all want me to, give you the information. Do you want to know what the standards of conduct and code of ethics are? I mean, I can send you all the statutes just so you have to look at those and say, well, maybe that's a little, code of ethics could be a voting conflict. Does a person forfeit the office because of a voting conflict?
But that would go, let's say they did have, or say someone's breaking the sunshine law. They're breaking the sunshine law.
That's not really
Is that not code of ethics to continually break sunshine?
No, it's criminal.
It's criminal.
Yeah.
Okay, well then it would go to the governor then.
I don't even want to see y'all during the week.
So, I guess most of the code of ethics would be okay. I mean,
So we know what we're specific, but I guess it's there.
I mean, if we're going to bury ourselves with something, I don't want to do that either.
We don't want to
well,
make it
people,
so
I mean, most of
difficult.
the stuff is, you'd be like, yeah, that's something, person should do that,
But whatever it
misusing their
is,
position.
we did decide, we went back and forth. I guess we didn't decide. Like, who's gonna make that determination? We said we didn't decide. Did we, the majority of the
I thought the
council,
majority
or
vote was
the
gone.
majority
Yeah,
vote?
understand that you were gonna change the unanimous
Because in the
majority.
minutes, it said we discussed it, but
Yeah, so
didn't
if you
really
look
say,
at the-
I didn't think what we decided.
Well, so what we did is if you look at the charter itself, see all the blue edits in here?
Okay.
This
you
is
just
where
said
I
there.
made changes to what Scott had recommended
Okay,
based
the
on what we talked
majority.
about. So
I
instead of,
gotcha.
like you see where it says remaining 4 members, we just put by a majority. That would be a
Gotcha.
simple, like 3 people.
Okay.
So I changed all that on page 4. Anywhere where you see blue is basically like, for instance, Scott had missed some sections where it said commissioner instead of council member.
Right,
So I
like
went
back
back
in
and changed
conduct.
that to make it all uniform.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think we all agreed that a simple majority of the council, because that's how we do every other vote.
Right,
Right.
that's what I was, which was in the minutes, I just didn't see the
Yeah.
conclusion of our discussion.
We don't want to make it so complicated that it ties our hands later and confuses the
Yeah.
voters.
Well, and it also leaves a lot of room then for interpretation for the council, because then you start nitpicking like, well, is this, this
Yeah.
person did this thing, is it really a violation of the code of ethics?
They'll have
And then
their own
it's open to
interpretation.
interpretation, and then people argue, and then it just seems like it gets
We
really.
seem to have gone along on an even keel
Keep
so
it simple.
far. Let's keep it
Keep it
simple.
simple.
Yeah, AISS.
Well, looking at Holly Hills, I guess the governor will suspend from office. This says, is found to have violated any standard of conduct or code of ethics established by law for public officials and has been suspended from office by the governor unless subsequently reinstated as provided by law. I didn't think the governor suspended for that. But I don't know that because it's kind of weird how that's worded, because you're convicted and suspended
But then
unless
subsequently,
reinstated.
they reinstated that.
So, I mean, we could just say, and I think we could also say by the Florida Ethics Commission. So it's not, they make it clear, it's not a determination of this commission that makes that decision. It's the Ethics Commission has to make a decision as to that there was a violation of the code of ethics.
So in other words, if there's an ethics complaint against a counselor or council member,
Mhm.
and they're found to be in violation of the code of ethics, that doesn't necessarily mean they have to be removed from a committee or a council.
I don't think so.
They haven't been in the past.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So are you suggesting here also that we eliminate the, and has been suspended from office by the governor statement?
Yeah, because I'm not sure the governor does suspend for ethics violations, because
Right,
people
that's-
have been convicted of ethics violations and they're not removed. I think it's only
No.
criminal.
Okay.
Might only be felony. I could look to see if I can look it up real quick. But what the Constitution says, that by order of the governor, any elected municipal officer indicted for crime may be suspended from office until acquitted, or the office filled by appointment for a period of suspension not to extend beyond the term. So that's what the Constitution says. So you gotta be indicted. And an indictment, I don't think they indict you for misdemeanors.
I was gonna say, so just being found in violation of the code.
That's probably not
Not an
gonna be fair,
indictment.
so.
So that's why these other municipalities have that in their charter. They determine whether or not they want that person. to be.
Holly Hill's doing their charter review right now. I may point this out to them.
So do we wanna put that in there then?
Well, I guess the question is, if somebody violates a code of ethics, do you want them to forfeit their seat?
Or do you
That's
want
the
the council to
question.
be able to determine if they forfeit their seat?
Or do you
Do what?
want them
Do
to?
you want the council to be able to make?
Well, it's really not even for the council to decide. This is pretty simple in saying a third party's made the decision. The Commission on Ethics has found that you violated this. You've done your appeals. It's over. You violated it. You forfeited your seat. The council says your seat's vacant. Now we fill it. So the council or commission will not decide whether or not the person.
They won't have to act on it.
Well, they won't have to make a decision whether or not there was a violation of the code of ethics,
That's done.
because someone else has
Up
made
there.
that decision.
And you can have a violation of the code, and like I think Sue was saying, I mean, sometimes people get a fine for that. Or
They
get a
usually do.
warning, or,
Yeah.
whatever, if they're not removed from office.
No.
They have it.
Well, not only
Now,
that.
if they
but-
do it repeatedly, they may,
Yeah, so
Good
but
point.
that's where you go down that weird rabbit hole of like, are all ethics violations created equal?
Right.
In other words, is one something that the council might be like, well, we don't feel like that's an offense worth removing you, versus something really flagrant.
Yeah. So that's why. I
So do
don't
you
know if
wanna
you
put it in there,
that
'cause then you might lose somebody on a technicality that.
Yeah,
I would have to look at the list of all the ethics laws, I guess.
But when you're in such a small community like we are, and where it's hard to get people who are willing to serve
Or who are qualified to serve.
or
yeah.
qualified to serve, we don't want to tie our hands on,
Right.
just what
I
you
mean,
say, let's not
Even
throw
if
the milk
the
out.
ethics commission wouldn't remove them, does that mean we're gonna go, oh, well, you're removed, you
So
know?
would your gut feeling be to just not use number 4 at all?
Probably, because
That's my gut.
you could have, an unintended violation,
Mm-hmm.
and the ethics commission say, we have to find you a violation, but we're just gonna give you a warning.
Right.
Well, then
You've
technically, though,
lost
they
them.
found
You
you
don't
in
want that
violation.
person to be
Yeah.
removed.
And so I guess that could trigger that. And maybe a very flagrant violation might trigger other criminal issues like misuse of public position for your own personal gain. There may be other crimes that come out of that, which would then, maybe if it's a felony and you get indicted on that, then the governor can remove you anyway.
Right.
Mm.
So other provisions will provide.
Well, LACA is kind of talking about that now because there were several violations that were found up there, and some of them were more minor, and some of them were like misuse of public funds and misuse of their position, title, of office.
Here?
From LACA.
Oh, okay.
All the drama that's been going on up there.
Is Willaca big enough to have a crime?
Well, believe it or not, there are only 700 people. They're half our size. But they're in a world of hurt right now.
Actually, it's actually probably sometimes some of these smaller communities that get in trouble because, everybody talks to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Sunshine law is one of the biggest things that's violated all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And not maliciously, but I mean, when you only have so few people,
Mm-hmm.
If you sneeze in the small community,
yeah, they're gonna know.
everybody's gonna know before the day's
Yeah,
over.
it's
I mean,
tough.
when I called the ambulance, before the ambulance got to the house, 3 people from town, and they weren't just neighbors, had called and said, we saw the ambulance going, are you all okay? Are you okay? They check. So there's a lot of, just what you say, it travels fast.
And I remember when I first got hired, we kind of went over some laws, because the way I was hired, it wasn't through like an evaluation process where we could talk a lot. So I started, in each meeting, I would review laws and my thinking of how laws work, just so they know how I think, I know how they think. And then, example, I said, guys, the Sunshine Law, y'all could be up there sitting next to each other watching a baseball game at the ball fields, Chipper Jones Field, and just say, it would be nice if that fence went all the way over there. Yeah, you're right. Boom, Sunshine Law violation, because it's going to come back from a vote. In a small community like this, everything goes back to the commission to vote. When you get to bigger communities,
They don't even know you.
the manager makes so many decisions or staff makes so many decisions. These decisions don't make it back to the commission. Here, everything is foreseeably going to come back to this commission for a vote. And so, so you've got to be careful about that. So it's easy to violate, so simple. So, now the Sunshine Law isn't, it's definitely not an ethics law. I don't know that it would be considered a standard of conduct, but, you could.
Well, they go to training every single year on it, so
Yeah.
we should be well
Would
aware.
it be simply
You can call the
Be
commission on ethics, and they'll give you an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And they say they give you an opinion, and you follow their opinion, but then it's found out by the ethics commission that opinion from the ethics commission was wrong, but you relied on it. Or they ask me my opinion, and I give them an opinion, and then my opinion ends up being wrong. All that could happen.
So would we be better off just leaving things as they are?
What we have right now.
I guess I would say I could see some ethics violations that you would want somebody to forfeit their seat for, but I can't say all of them would be. I guess that's the thing I would just. But you also have people, they're up for election.
That's the thing. People
So,
can decide.
so if somebody does
They
something
feel like they really
wrong,
misuse
but
their
just misuse their position for personal gain, they weren't criminally charged, but they think that they should have been, they won't vote for them.
And they can't hide it like you do in a big community.
Yeah.
It's out.
But also, like you said, if you report it to the Ethics Commission and it is something really blatant, it might get referred for criminal charges and then that might take care of itself.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they might end up convicted of a crime, you know.
And for sure, if you've got somebody who's gonna lose their seat in an ethics commission, they're gonna fight it. For sure. And one of the things that always seems to come up with these ethics commission things is, does the city pay for the legal fees to defend the commissioner over ethics
They
violation
do
complaints?
not in Pierson.
Huh?
They do not in Pierson.
Well, if they win, though, if they're
No.
acquitted, they may have to under the
No.
law.
No.
They
Been
don't.
there, done that.
Oh,
Paid
really?
it out of pocket when my husband was on the council, not
Really?
convicted, not found guilty, but paid all
Out
the
of
fees
pocket?
ourselves. So
There's some
keep that in
cases on
mind
that.
when you're serving, can come back to bite you.
I think there's some cases on that, though, that talk about when you can.
Well, we've tried. The town, we said they should have some kind of insurance or something for the commissioners for that, because anybody can turn you in at any time.
Yeah.
They can send something up there.
That's why Max
You got to defend yourself.
had quit the planning committee for that very same reason, because there's no coverage.
Right. So anybody can make up
Is there
whatever.
types of insurance coverage for that kind of thing, Scott?
Some places
I
have
don't
it.
know.
Officials?
There is a,
There is
Some
elected
towns,
official
yeah.
coverage, but it's really hard to get coverage for violations of the law sometimes.
Because we were led to believe if you were not found guilty or that the town would cover it. That did not happen. So just be forewarned for people who are on there.
I just did, I guess it's ChatGPT. Don't know what it is. But just looking, I asked, well, can ethics violation be criminal in Florida? Yes, an ethics violation can be criminal in Florida. Violations of ethical laws can result in civil criminal penalties, including removal from office, restitution, and fines. The severity of the misconduct and the harm caused determine the extent of the penalties. For instance, bribery involving a large sum or intentional violations of ethics or anti-corruption laws may lead to severe consequences, including imprisonment. I had a mayor that took, I had a special magistrate in South Daytona and a mayor who took bribes it was to reduce a code enforcement fine supposedly. And it was federal. And he was removed and got convicted. I think he fled. But
In that case, you do want somebody removed, but I don't think for,
So it sounds like
like
maybe
you said, what if it's unintentional or something you weren't aware of?
so you can have both criminal and civil, and I would assume the difference is the severity. If it's what did you do, and if it's a minor unintentional consequence, then maybe a $50 fine, and maybe you wouldn't want the person to forfeit their office. But if it's a significant penalty, maybe that's why Holly Hill says, and you're removed by the governor, that makes the severity of it.
Right.
You know, say
There you
it's
go.
only going to be severe things.
So it had to be those two together.
Yeah.
Violation of standard conduct code and has been suspended. Well, basically, they should have just said been suspended because obviously they're being removed because there was a violation.
Once the governor suspends you, it's not like you can overrule that.
Right.
Say, oh no, we want him to serve.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we decided about this number 4, if we're gonna.
Leave it the way it is, I guess.
Leave it
Yeah,
alone.
I just leave it alone.
The Ormond one was kind of interesting to me because I work in Ormond, and when they talked about criminal traffic violation,
Right. That's
I'm gonna call there next time I see like anything happening or somebody got in a wreck. I said, you know who this person is?
Yeah, I think I'm like, that is crazy.
Brian, did you want to talk about should we think about adding that provision that we recently come across about the budget amendment?
I don't know. The only reason I say that is because I looked up a resolution from the city of Deland, right?
Mhm.
City of Deland, in their whereas clause in their resolution and for their budget, they say, we're amending the budget. Just so everyone knows, I'm doing a budget amendment tonight for the previous fiscal year because you do a state budget every year. We told them we were gonna take in $1.54 million, but we ended up getting 68,000 more. between the increase in permit fees, and we got money for that surplus auction that we did for equipment. So the CPA's opinion is go ahead and add it to last year's budget because it'll make up some of that deficit that you had that you were going to borrow from prior year funds. So that'll alleviate $68,000 of that. So to do a budget amendment according to state law that is going to change the bottom line number, you can allocate stuff between accounts as long as that bottom line number stays like 1.54 million. But the second you add or remove something from that bottom line revenue, it has to be done by an amendment process of some kind. So the way the state words it is, okay, you either have to have it in your charter that you're giving yourself permission as the municipality to amend the budget in whatever way you see fit. Or if there's nothing in your charter about it, you have to adopt the amendment the same way you adopted the initial budget. Well, we adopted our initial budget during the trim process every September, but that includes 2 public meetings. You had to advertise it twice in the paper. We don't really have time to do that because you only get 60 days after the fiscal year closes to do an amendment. Department of Revenue told me it was out of their purview, that all they're worried about is the trim part, the property tax part. They don't really have any concern about the budget part of it. So what a lot of cities do is they give themselves permission in their charter to do a budget amendment by whatever process they see fit, just a basic resolution, an ordinance. But I looked at DeLand's and their whereas clause in the resolution says, whereas the city of DeLand, per its charter, has the ability to amend its budget at any time. Well, I looked all through their charter. There's nothing in there about amending the budget. There's something in there about setting the initial budget.
Right.
And that kind of thing, and reallocating appropriations and stuff, but there isn't actually a specific clause in their charter that says we amend the budget this way.
Right.
So from what I can tell, every city that I've looked at, they just do a resolution, they pass it, it becomes part of the public record. That's how they pass. Like, for instance, our budget, we set by resolution every year. I do a budget that says this is the number for fiscal year, blah, blah, blah. But we don't necessarily advertise that. We're advertising the trim notice about your property taxes. The budget just kind of goes along with it, but we're not advertising the passing of a resolution. So we can add it. We can add one line that says the town of Pierson reserves the right to amend its budget, each fiscal year per state law, and then cite the law. But
the problem is the law is a little confusing because it says, as Ryan said, what it exactly says is you follow what your charter says, or you amend the budget in the manner you adopted it.
Right, that's what he said.
So what does in the manner? What does that mean? So it's funny. I reviewed an agenda item for Holly Hill today. That's went on their agenda for next Tuesday, which was a budget amendment. And so I called the finance director. I said, I'm not accusatory here. I'm just saying, did y'all notice this? No. Okay. Looked in the charter, didn't say a word about
I couldn't find it.
or anything in Holly Hill. So.
And they do it all the time.
They do it.
I've gone back like 6-7 years, and a lot of these cities, they do them at the end of the fiscal year to clean up their books.
But they do them throughout the year too.
Yeah.
And they do it all the time. Ryan's the first one ever asked me, how do we do it? And I was like, well, that's a good question. No one ever really asked that before. So I started looking at it.
And so I've done it in the past here, but we didn't change the bottom line number. I just took all the little sub accounts, the GL accounts, and said, okay, we were 200% over this budget, but here we didn't use anything, and I would just move funds between accounts.
So, sometimes you go to say, okay, who's going to complain?
If it's going up, I don't think you're going to get a complaint out of anybody.
You've already spent the money. It's just, okay, if it wasn't, what is the ramification? The year's over.
That's the thing. The year is over. It's really a cleanup process.
Yeah, so I don't
it's not like we're sneaking money off to some secret account or something.
So, but it was just something that came up in the last week or two. Since our last meeting, this has come up. So.
In a lot of the towns that I looked at, that falls under the duties of either their city manager or their clerk. So it's not listed specifically in a section about the budget. There's a section in their charter that says, responsibilities or duties of a city manager, and it'll say to establish a budget, to
Prepare a budget.
prepare a budget, blah, blah, blah. So, you'd almost have to put it in there as like either a town clerk duty or,
Yeah. I'm fine with not putting it in.
Don't put it at
Yeah,
all.
I'm okay with not putting it in.
Just roll
We've
it.
gotten along this
long
far
without it.
without
But it was just
yeah.
something that came up since we last met.
I don't know of any, and I could be wrong, but usually you'd advertise an ordinance. I don't know of anyone that advertises a resolution. It's usually something
You don't-
prepared and the council just
Yeah.
reads it and,
But the unique thing is you can adopt your trim and budget by ordinance or resolution, regardless of what you call it.
Right.
You gotta have 2 readings like an ordinance, and you gotta follow the state law advertising. It doesn't really matter what you call it. So when they say you amend the budget in the same manner that you adopted it, well, you're referring to notice, or are you just referring to resolution or ordinance? I mean, what are you referring to when you say same manner?
Right.
So that's what's not clear, but if we're not doing it right, then I can pretty much say Holly Hill's neighbors.
And neither is Delane. So,
Yes, it is.
and none of them have been.
And how many
caught for it,
people
so.
The community pay that much attention to what's happening.
It would be nice if they
The
did.
ones that show up at the meetings, that's my
So if they
view.
come in and say, when properly advertised, you say, okay, that's a
Don't wish
minimum
such
amount.
things upon yourself.
You know?
No.
The money's still there, or it's not there, it's still one or the other.
It
you know?
hasn't disappeared.
Yeah. So,
So the only other, would anyone else have any questions about any of that? I think we
I
kind
think
of
we've
decided
really-
to
Yeah, I was
with our draft.
gonna ask if there was anything else we needed to discuss on this.
Well, I've got one thing, and we've got a couple minutes, so I'll just do it real quick. So if you look at page 2 of this thing, right at the top, the second paragraph in black, where it says rules and regulations of holding and certifying general and special elections shall be prescribed by ordinance of the town. No person shall be eligible for election as mayor or council person who is not a permanent resident, yada, yada. So you kind of get into the qualifications, right, of who can run. But then if you flip to page 5, page 5? Hold on, it's not page 5. Somewhere else, it's basically in 2 sections, because then there's another section that says, oh, here's all the qualifications for you to be. It just felt like it was in 2 places, and I didn't know if it needed to be in 2 places. Let me find where. On page 6, voter
Yeah,
qualifications.
voters' qualifications.
There's a whole section for it on page 6. That any person shall possess the qualifications of an elector under general laws of the state of Florida as a permanent resident. So you're basically repeating the same thing that you're saying on page 2. It's not hurting anything to be there twice, it just seems redundant to.
yeah, you know what?
Well, actually, there's 2 separate things. One, page 2 is referring to those running for
That's what I'm
office.
wondering.
And
Right,
page
these
6
are the
refers to
voters'
electors.
Voters, yeah.
Oh,
Elected.
electors.
Hmm.
Those voting. I can recall.
I mean,
It won't hurt to leave both in either.
No,
We've trimmed it down
Yeah,
so
so I was saying,
nicely.
because this is voters' qualifications, like you just, that's what I was trying to process in my mind, or should it say officials, but I get it, or council, but it's 2, like you said, 2
Yeah.
different things.
The reality is, we follow the Florida election code
Right.
anyway,
Mhm.
but part of me said, well, should we just strike that? You just never know how people are gonna respond when you strike something, like, oh, they don't wanna have any rules and regulations about elections. So we can, if we don't have in our ordinances, we have an ordinance that says we follow the Florida election code.
So my only other one was on page 5, and this is kind of a weird one. This is where we did the merger of the mayor and the council chair. And if you look at that last sentence, it says effective for the November 2020 municipal election, town council seat 3 was eliminated. Well, according to our records, Bobby, the vice mayor, is seat 3. We have seat 1, 2, 3, 4, and a mayor. So I think seat 5 was eliminated. So I really think that needs to change, because according to mine and Yvonne, the research we did, there were 4 seats and then the mayor.
How many
Seat
seats
1,
were
2,
there?
3, 4,
Yeah.
and a mayor.
That's
So-
So there were
correct.
5 seats in the mayor before?
No, 4
Yeah.
seats.
Yes, yes.
Yes, there were
Had
5
to-
voting
yeah.
council people, and the mayor was just like a
No
non-voting.
It was just
Figurehead.
figurehead,
Just
figurehead.
move the mayor into one of those.
So technically, the
Slots.
mayor is council seat 5 right now, is what I'm saying. Lenny's 1, Bobby's 3, Jimmy's 2, and Brandy's 4, or something like that. So we have them listed as seat 1, 2, 3, 4. It didn't make sense to me that you'd have seat 1, 2, 4, 5
Correct.
in a mayor.
Yeah.
So should we just change that to seat 5? Or do we even need that? Do we need to say
I don't
town
think
council seat 5 is the mayor?
Do we even need it at all?
I mean, like for instance, Bobby is council seat 3, but the council decides who the vice mayor is. So technically, vice mayor could be any seat.
Correct.
I think just that last sentence could be eliminated, don't you think?
I'm just curious if that whole paragraph can't be eliminated.
I think it's just there for historical, just so people are aware
Where
that
we're
prior to
in.
2020, there was no voting mayor here.
Good point.
But you're right, the last sentence kind of confuses things.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I would just say town council seat 5 was eliminated, and that was just replaced with a voting mayor position. So maybe just change it from seat 3 to seat 5.
I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, we put 5 or it's
Or
almost
the
like a.
5th seat.
Well, I mean, they are numbered, and it's like that in other municipalities
Yeah.
too, chair 1, chair
Sure.
2.
Mhm.
So we do have seats 1 through 4 still. So I don't know why it says, maybe it was just a typo that no one ever caught when we did the last charter update. But I really think it was supposed to be seat 5 is what got
I
eliminated.
mean, the other thing we could say is town council seat 5 has become the mayor's.
That's what I was, either or.
Yeah.
We need to decide how we want to do that.
No, I like that suggestion. Has
Has
become the mayor's seat.
Town council seat 5. Should we say has become or became?
Okay.
Became the mayor's seat.
Good push.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the only notes I had.
Well, in my opinion, we can then finalize this and submit it. Am I wrong in that regard? Or do we have to determine if we want to submit it as a replacement charter or step by step? I think we had already decided we just replace it.
That it would be everything that comes from you is a recommendation.
Right.
So this is your recommendation for a charter, and you could also make a recommendation that it be a replacement charter as opposed to trying to break out each change as a question. Or each topic,
Right.
as a topic.
To me, that, I don't know if we ever decided, or I missed that, I missed one meeting, maybe.
I
that's
thought
when
we were
decided
leaning
that.
towards it.
I
being a
lean
replacement.
towards
Replacement.
replacement, because
You're gonna only
specific little
confuse
thing,
people.
Who's gonna
Yeah,
go for that? I would just ignore the
a
whole
lot of
thing.
people don't even know what the original, any of the charters have in it.
So,
And we can word it in a way. Do have 75 words where we do the ballot summary. That's supposed to describe the main purpose of this. And we can say that, it's like, as a summary, the proposed charter is as a replacement of the existing charter to do certain things.
Simplify.
To make it consistent with state law, to eliminate redundancy.
See, yeah.
Different things we can put in there to kind of say why we are suggesting these changes as a new charter.
All your words.
So,
And then what's our
All your words.
standard to pass? What's the
majority.
bar?
Majority.
Majority, just 50.
Majority of the people who vote.
Okay. And if they don't vote on it specifically, that's not in the, if they don't answer yes or
Or no,
no,
then it's-
then they're
then
out
they're not
anyway.
considered.
So- And you say once it is on there, then we could campaign at that,
You can advocate, yeah. Say why.
advocate for it and tell
Yeah.
people.
how do you formally dissolve this committee?
The-
The council will do
Council
it by
does.
resolution. Like
We might want to see what the resolution creating the committee said. Sometimes that's included in there. I include language that says after they accept it or they do something, then this body's officially, we just need to look at
They
the
may
wording.
want to send it back to us over
They
something.
could. Mhm.
So do we need to meet again? Do you want me to do a draft and email it to everyone, a cleaner draft, so we can read it straight through? I mean, I'll keep the one obviously that has all the changes,
Yeah.
but it might be easier to have a
Without
clean
all
copy
the
to read.
strikes. And
Yeah.
So do a clean copy.
That
We'll review it.
it basically makes all the changes that, that way you can actually see it without all the strike through and underline.
And then come back and-
what.
For one
Basically a
meeting
final
and-
draft and approve it.
I agree with that, yeah.
Do we want to try for that at the next meeting?
I think it works out great.
Let's
I
get it.
don't know about y'all.
Are you available?
The sooner we do it, the
I
sooner it
don't know
is.
if I need to be at that one or not, but I can be more than happy to be here.
I mean, if you don't want to be, as all we're gonna do is probably approve it, but it's gotta
Yes
go to
or no.
Scott anyway to look at before we take it to council, I'm sure.
that would be what, the 18th?
That 18th.
I may not be here, but
I mean, I'll still
I
email
can
it to
send
everybody.
you and
Yeah.
say, I would vote,
I mean, I'm coming over anyway. It's just a matter of
Right.
coming over an hour.
Well-
Well, let's just say the 18th at, I guess the same time, right?
And
5:30.
you can just let me know if you want me to come.
Okay.
I'll put it on here. Not like I got anything else.
Yeah, my 18th is open, so.
Mine is too.
So I'll work on a clean copy in the minutes and I'll email it so everybody has time to review it, but we'll still meet and go over it one last time and see if there's anything that needs to be changed.
Alrighty.
No more business?
make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Just sit down and
Meeting
go to
is
the other one.
adjourned.
How many